Today's brief homily is in two parts. The first part is the obvious connection to Mary, Mother of God, as we begin this new year, as we sang that opening song, Sing of Mary. And the second part is an introduction and a reflection of my sister Eileen and my brother-in-law Mark, who are here at this particular Mass to thank you for all of your support and prayers after experiencing last April both a horrible accident that could very well have been deadly, and yet a miraculous outcome came about. So on this New Year's Day, for us as Catholics, it's a holiday, but it's also a holy day of obligation. And we take Mary as our model and as our guide. Mary's refrain, her litany, her response to so many life situations she faced could have been, Mary, dear God, the angel never warned me about this. The angel never told me about everything that was going to happen by me saying yes to the angel. And maybe that's a good thought, a good prayer to say as we begin a new day, as we begin a new year, as we begin 2023. Dear God, I never expected, just think about last year, whatever might have happened. I never expected another challenging, troubled year. I wasn't prepared for all the surprises, but I trust that we'll continue to get through this together. And so, as a Jewish woman, schooled in the tradition of the prophets, Mary knew that these searing complaints and objections raised up to God are prayers just as genuine as praise and petition. And so this annual feast on the first day of the new year is all about Mary modeling that God is trustworthy, even though things didn't always go in the right direction for her. Sometimes things seem to go backwards. But does that mean that things will, get better or worse for us in 2023? Who knows? But we're here right now at this Mass because as people of faith, we trust that no matter what happens, even if we do get somewhat cheated by life in some way, we're going to get through it. And isn't that what Mary was asked to do and did as she reflected upon all the strange, unusual, and the scary things that were happening to her, around her, and even within her? She had this mother's intuition that God could be trusted to get her through all the things, the unexplained pregnancy, the rough journey to Bethlehem, no room in the inn, the forced escape to Egypt, and everything else that happened. How was Mary able to have this trust? Well, the answer comes from the very centerpiece of the gospel today. Mary kept all these things, reflecting on them in her heart. She kept all of these things going over, pondering, offering them up to the Lord in prayer and trusting. And in the midst of it all, in the midst of that trust, is the mystery of both human life in general for every person in history and the mystery of the Incarnation. The mystery of the Incarnation, that God is with us no matter what. No matter what. And so, to that end, I'd like to invite my sister Eileen and my brother-in-law Mark to share with you a thank you for your prayers and support over the last year.
Good morning. Like Frank said, my name is Eileen Caldwell Stapleton. This is my husband, Mark. As we head back home today, we would be remiss if we didn't stop to say thank you for all your thoughts, all your prayers, all your notes, all your cards. It was so heartfelt, and your warm words of healing and encouragement really meant the world to us. We read and reread every card. We cut out prayers, we highlighted, and we still have a lot of those cards at our night table still. So it was a rough time in our lives. It was scary, it was lonely. It was really the lowest points in our lives, and not knowing what God had in store for us, all three of us. So we thank you for all of that. It's comforting to know that we had an army of old and new friends praying for us through God's healing grace. And that's why we're fortunate enough to be standing here in front of you today. So I thank you for all that from the bottom of my heart, and thank you for loving my brother like I know you all do.
Good morning. My name is Mark Stapleton. Met my amazing wife, and I have the honor of calling Monsignor Caldwell my brother-in-law. As you know from Frank's homilies and the various postings in the bulletin, we were in that horrible accident in April. Eileen ended up with broken elbow, shoulder surgery. Frank, you know, ended up with a brain bleed and a stroke and all. I, unfortunately, was not as fortunate as they were to be quickly turned around. I spent 104 days in the hospital, 3 different hospitals, 6 surgeries, many broken bones, but I did pull through. And I told Frank would call Eileen constantly, and he would constantly ask, is Mark out of the woods yet? Which Frank told me is not normally a phrase he uses. And that connected something in my mind. And I remembered during my, when I was in a coma, that I had a vision of being carried for 3 days by someone through the woods. Carried by my belt, face down, my arms and legs didn't touch the ground, and this went on for 3 days. And after 3 days, we met up with another group. Could not see them. I could only see the person carrying me peripherally because I was facing down. And one of the other group asked him, what are you doing with him? And he said, I have to protect him. He's my responsibility. I did not see that person after that at all until just Christmas Day when we came to Mass here at 1:30, and I was leaving that pew, and I saw the picture of Christ on the wall over there. And I looked at my wife and I said, that's the man who was carrying me through the woods for 3 days. I spent 3 days with him, and it's just unbelievable. You know, your prayers pulled me through all of my trials and tribulations, all my problems. So if anybody ever tells you prayers don't work, tell them they're wrong. If anybody ever doubts their faith or doubts that miracles happen, please refer them to me. I'll have a conversation with them to prove them wrong. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all of your prayers and all of your thoughts. They did help and they did pull us through. Thank you.